What's up YouTube? My name's Roman and today we're going to be talking about the Debt Snowball method. If you're new to the channel, thanks for coming. This is Wild Frugal Free, where I talk about my military family's journey towards financial independence and some of the tips and tricks that we're learning along the way. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I know from experience that being in debt is a stressor for families and individuals. Having been in debt myself, I understand how it feels. Not only is it stressful, but it's one of the biggest things keeping you from building actual wealth. For that reason, getting out of debt is a huge deal. And it's one of the first steps that you need to take towards your financial goals. So we're going to go ahead and talk about what the Debt Snowball method is, whether or not it works, alternatives to the Debt Snowball method, and action steps that you can take to start your debt repayment plan today. If you've heard of the Debt Snowball method before, you probably already know that it was created by Dave Ramsey. Dave is a very popular radio personality and podcaster in the personal finance space. He's been doing it since the early 90s, and his show is still incredibly popular. Now, while all of his advice isn't everyone's cup of tea, it's a great place for beginners to start, and many do. As I've shared before in my blog posts, we listened to a lot of Dave Ramsey when we first started out, and from time to time, I still put him on during my commute to work. In addition to the podcast, he's also written a couple of hugely popular books. I'll put a link for one of my favorites in the description below. It's called The Total Money Makeover. If you're a beginner and want a good, solid foundation to start on, this is the book to buy. This is one that I loan out all the time. Great book to start with, so check out the link below. If you're local and you want to borrow the book, give me a heads up and you can borrow the copy that's on my desk at work. So here's how it works. You take all of your debts and you list them in order of the very smallest balance to the very highest balance. Disregard interest rates. You're only dealing with the balances here. Now, for every item except for the first one, which will be the item with the lowest balance, you're going to make only the minimum payments. No more. Make sure you're making the minimum payments, but make no more. For the very first debt, the one with the smallest balance, you're going to put every little bit of extra cash that you have toward that debt to pay it off quick. If you didn't catch the video that we made last week about tracking your expenses, there's a great way to start to see where you can start cutting out money to pile up that extra cash to start putting toward debt. Now, once you've paid off the first line item, the one with the smallest balance, you take all that money that you were putting at your smallest balance and you throw it into the next smallest balance, line item number 2 on your list. And you continue in that fashion until you've paid off all of your debt. That's the Debt Snowball method. Pretty simple, right? Lowest to highest, minimum payments on all, except for the lowest, throw all your extra money at that. So the real question is, does it work? And the answer is, of course, yes. However, some people get caught up on the math, which is understandable. You would think that it would be smarter to pay off the debt with the highest interest rate first, not the highest balance, right? And mathematically, that's true. However, Dave's not looking at mathematics here. What he's really looking at, and what usually gets people into debt in the first place, is people's behavior around money. So the reasoning behind the Debt Snowball is those little wins as people pay off those small balance loans will pile up and put people in the right mindset that will allow them to stick with the program. So even though it doesn't line up mathematically, even though you might save a little bit more money in interest and be able to pay your debt off a little bit quicker using other methods that we'll talk about soon, the Debt Snowball method is going to kind of hack your brain in helping you get motivated, stay positive, and continue on the path toward freedom from debt. So what you're really banking on here is the positive reinforcement from those little wins that will help you stay consistent and help you bring yourself all the way to the end game, which is debt freedom. And guys, if you've not listened to the Dave Ramsey show, I'll throw a link in the description below. Now, you might not like everything that Dave has to say, but it is an objective fact that he helps tons of people get out of debt every single day, every single year. And you could be one of those people. So consider the Debt Snowball method. If you're getting hung up on the math, I get it. There are alternatives. The main one being what's called the Debt Avalanche, using kind of a play on the original analogy. So the Debt Avalanche is similar to the Debt Snowball in that you're going to list out your debts. However, you're going to list them in order of interest rate. So the debt with the highest interest rate is going to go at the top. That'll be the one that you attack first. And then on down the line to where your last debt on the list will be the debt with the very lowest interest rate. And again, you attack number 1, make minimum payments on all the other debts until you wrap up number 1, and then throw all the extra money at number 2, etc. So I did an example of this. Believe it or not, the average household debt for 2020 was around $145,000. Maybe you find yourself in a position where this is around the number that you have. So if I make a fictional example of $100,000 mortgage at 4%, a $30,000 car note at 2.5%, a $10,000 credit card balance at somewhere around 18%, and a signature loan for about $5,000 at 10%. If I plug this example into both the Debt Snowball and the Debt Avalanche method, the difference isn't huge. Over the time period, you're only going to save yourself about a month worth of payments and about $1,000 worth of interest. So yes, it is cheaper in the long run to use the Debt Avalanche method if you stick with it. But if you're somebody like many of us that needs those mental wins, the Debt Snowball method, even though it's going to be a little bit more costly, is going to keep you on track. So really do consider it. So how do you take action on this? It's pretty simple. Choose one of the methods. Write down your debts and get after it. Now, regardless of whether you're going to go with the Debt Snowball method or if you're going to go with the Debt Avalanche mathematically optimal method, it doesn't matter. What matters is create a plan. Create a plan today. Create a plan that you're going to stick with and then just get after it. The only way to start is to start. Your debt's not going to get any smaller by letting it roll over to next month, by waiting to make the decision to start paying your debt off. You can know everything about personal finance. If you don't put the things into action, you're not going to get ahead. You're not going to be reaching those financial goals that you deserve to be reaching. You're not going to be setting your family up, setting yourself up for the vision that you have for your future. So, choose one of the methods and get after it. Like I said earlier in the video, I've been there. I've been in debt. I know that it's stressful. It's really hard to envision a future where you're getting ahead with money when all you see is debt and bills stacked up around you. Luckily, our family kind of learned that lesson early on, but it's never too late to start. So I encourage you, go ahead and start your Debt Snowball or your Debt Avalanche today. Drop a comment below and let me know, which one are you going to go with? Which one are you going to start today? If you need a little motivation, go over to our Instagram, @WildFrugalFree. I'm consistently posting motivational stuff that will help keep you in the right mindset to start winning with your money this year. That's really what it comes down to, guys. That's why I'm making these videos. I want you to win with money. I know that even though it's hard, it's not complex. It really is quite simple to start winning with money. If you got value from this video, please do smash that like button and subscribe so that you can get updated when I drop new videos. I'm going to be dropping new videos every week, and I hope that you'll follow along with my own family's journey as we share some of the things that we're learning, that we have learned in the past, and that have helped us to get to the spot that we're at now, where we're aggressively pursuing financial independence. Thanks again for watching, and remember to put your money where your values are.